think we're live and running here.
Fantastic. All right. I got a bunch of questions already loaded up. As I mentioned earlier, it's just me this week. Hopefully we'll get some of the rest back in at other points. Many questions. Ask Fernie why he doesn't like to do them. Ask Fernie why he doesn't want to do them. It's because it's work. That's the bottom line. Got a question from Chomi on Twitter. I've always wanted to live in a rainy place. Which is better, Oregon or Washington State? They're pretty much the same thing, dude. They both have legal pot now. It's really a difference between, like, Oregon doesn't have sales tax.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about taxes. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's what you want to do.
So they just kind of bleed into one another, basically?
A little bit. I mean, truly, you probably wouldn't be able to tell which one starts and which one stops, but if it weren't for the Columbia River. Let me see here. Brandon, since coming to El Paso, do you socialize with other media members? I don't think I have yet.
Yeah, I don't know that I've met too many other media people.
If they don't work in this building, I haven't seen them. But then he also is from Daniel. He also writes, picture the fight scene in Anchorman. If Mo's show was Ron's crew, in your opinion, which other media sources would be involved? I think it would have to be radio because it was all news stations, wasn't it? It was all the newscasters.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who else would be involved, but I just picture Fernie being Brick and killing a man with the trident.
Easily. Easily.
This comes from Caesar. What is a pet peeve you have? For example, I hate it when I go to the bank and wait in line and the person behind me gets so close I can feel their breath on my neck. That is a pet peeve of mine.
Cripes.
I like my personal space. I don't like people standing too close to me.
Yeah, like there's a bubble. Respect the bubble.
And like I was at the grocery store a couple of weeks ago and I'm standing, getting ready, like putting my foot in. It's one of those like little small like circle turnstiles that you put your food on. It's not like the long, the long one. So it's a tight little area. I put my food down. Then there's a guy, and he's got a kid who's maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I'm standing where they have the candy, and the kid has no personal space whatsoever. And he's like bumping into me for the candy. And the guy's like, grab me that. And I'm like, dude, you can literally wait the 2 minutes for me to put my food down and then move forward.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
I was like, good Lord. That isn't, so, yeah, people standing too close is a gigantic pet peeve of mine. I can't, what do you have? Do you have any?
No, so far. Daniel asked, is this the first question, Brandon? That's kind of like an existential thing.
On the chat?
Yeah.
Are you typing firsties?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that was it. I think he claimed firsties.
God, you guys have some of the strangest names. I don't know how to, so Psychotis Citron. Like I see the name, I just never know how to say it.
Yeah.
So I'll call you Psych, I guess.
Psych!
Brandon and any others who play video games, I think I'm the only one that really plays. What are your favorite video games to play, and what system is, in your opinion, the best? I play, if you're a true gamer, you go PC, but
the master race.
I play Xbox because that's what all my buddies back home have. I play Xbox because we enjoy playing Halo. It's usually first-person shooters. Like right now, I got Star Wars Battlefront, Halo, we play Battlefield, and then other games like Batman, Arkham, all of the Arkham Knight series.
Games are awesome.
What else? The Wolf Among Us. It was free like a month ago. I think it was free in the month of April. That was one of the funnest games I've ever played. That game is awesome. Any of the Telltale games, they're like, have you ever seen how they're done? They're like a choose your own adventure.
Ooh.
So basically what happens is you're presented with a scenario and you have like a limited time, like there's a ticker.
Yeah.
Like if you don't, you have to choose in 10 minutes. So as it's ticking down, you like at one point, they make Walking Dead games.
Okay.
And you're in a store and there's one person over here, there's one person over here, and they're both being attacked by zombies. You have to pick who you save.
Nice.
And then the storyline completely changes depending on who you saved.
Deadside says Battlefront equals lame. Battlefield is awesome.
Battlefront's the shit. Battlefield we've kind of soured on. Like the latest ones we haven't been a big fan of. Like Hardline was like, we enjoyed the car version.
Yeah.
Like of Hotwire, that game, that version of it, but I wasn't a big fan of the rest of that game. So we all bought Hardline and then went back to Battlefield 4. Also, Cy writes here, he says, I've never been in radio and never thought of it as a career. Looks awesome and fun. In an entry-level person, what is the typical wage salary for a new person in radio? Peanuts.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
They pay people when they start?
I interned for a year, not getting paid. My first job, I made $7.25 an hour, I think.
Damn.
At 29 hours a week. But as you work your way up, and if you prove that you're, not an idiot, you should get paid, probably.
Yeah, it's like, this is like one of the few like jobs left where you have to do like an apprenticeship almost. You're gonna have to spend some time, minimum wage, before you can get anywhere. Got a question here. Daniel wants to know, hold on, I scrolled past. When was the last time you got ink done?
Last time I got ink done? About 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. It was this tattoo right here. I got that done actually right after I got laid off. They gave me a nice severance, so I got a tattoo.
Deadside says, what are your tats of anyway?
Okay, so we went over this one before, but you can see it better now. So then there's a goat on my arm. Here, let me see if I can. There's a goat on my arm because goat's my nickname. This says Imperium Sine Fine, which is a motto given to me from Jameson Irish Whiskey. And then this is of the night on Bald Mountain scene from Disney's Fantasia, where you can see Trindabog, who's the main guy, is right there. And something that Buzz always makes fun of. There's a hidden Mickey right there.
Ah!
Let me see here. Sergio asked, what's the most embarrassing moment for Buzz Adams? I don't know. He doesn't get embarrassed easy.
It really takes a lot.
He does get upset when we constantly make fun of how gross and fat he is. But the perfect example was today. So he and I are meeting before the show. And I think he like stopped by like Jack in the Box or something. He got the little hash browns. And he goes to take a bite of it. Half of it just completely falls down the front of his shirt. And then he goes to say something, and the other half comes flying out of his mouth while he's talking. So that I know that does bother him a bit.
He almost has to be in radio, doesn't he, though? Just so that he can have the anonymity of being behind the mic and not being seen when he
I guess.
acts the butt.
Kirsten asked, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? And she specifies European.
European only, of course.
That I don't know.
Not the African swallow. We won't be having.
But I'm going to look that up. The unladen swallow. I like the specification, though.
Meanwhile, now people are interested in size.
31 to 40 miles an hour.
Oh, there you go. In size, particular handle there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Psychotic Tron. Though Daniel says it may be Psycho IC Tron. Cy, do you care to end the debate?
Yeah,
Daniel asks, so seriously, are you guys going to get Buzz the one-piece swimsuit?
I don't know. That'd be really funny, though. I did have, so we talked about the Borat swimsuit, the green one?
Yeah.
I did have one of those, and then I gave it to a buddy of mine because it was his bachelor party, and you don't get to pick what happens to you on your bachelor party, and we were out camping, and so fortunately he did put his swim trunks on over, so we didn't have to see the whole goods.
Yes.
But he had two sweet tan lines like this all the way up. Oh, it was fantastic.
No, we do have that CD that Buzz did, some of his best bits, but he's in a one-piece swimsuit.
Yeah, he's dressed up as Bo Derek.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Maybe we'll show you that in the next one if you guys haven't seen it. Maybe too personal, but how did you meet your special lady friend, Brandon? Was she a listener or just random meeting by chance?
She followed me on Instagram and sent me a message.
Bam! I know people who are making sweet, sweet love by Tinder, It's the internet now. It's Psychotic Tron, like psychotic, but add Tron in the end.
Oh,
the debate has been ended.
All right, well played. All right,
right.
Here comes from Phil or Fickle. How old were you when you moved out or became independent? See, my parents are always cool about it because they got a big house and the whole downstairs was mine. Nice. So I didn't actually have my own place until I was 24, I think. but I went from working like really crappy, like lumberyard jobs. I worked at a temp agency. And then it wasn't until I was 21 or so when I was like, I need to go to school and I want to learn radio. So then I was still living with my parents through school. I worked as a pizza boy, as a pizza guy.
Nice.
And so then it was 2004 when I was 24 years old was when I shipped out to Eugene, Oregon for the first paying gig, which was a whopping $7.25 an hour, 29 hours a week.
Nice.
What else here? He asks, what's my least favorite food? I don't know if I have one. Like, what's gross, do you think would be the question
like
there?
Fecal covered crackers, maybe?
Or like
that.
Pickled pig's feet. My grandpa used to eat that shit. It was fucking gross.
That's nasty.
Will you do a prank where you shave a chunk of Buzz's beard off?
Like Jackass style?
I downloaded this app, and we were going to do this for April Fool's Day, but he poo-pooed the idea. And I wonder if I still have the app. It's the one where it sounds like clippers. Like you hit the button.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
All right, so it's called Real Razor. So if you hit it, no, you got to give it to God damn it.
But you sneak up some behind something.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have clippers. And then I think if you hit it, whatever. Maybe that's why we didn't do it.
Good to know. Good to know. Worst drunk story?
Oh God, which one? Worst. See, I don't know. I have like interesting drunk stories. There's one time, Buddy and I were doing Flaming Dr. Peppers, and we ended up naked in the pool in front of like a whole 300 people, a bunch we didn't know. It was in the middle of an apartment complex, and it was still light out. I came up with a game. This is probably the worst one. I came up with a game called Hunter, and we were out camping. And so basically, my buddy had like a little pump BB gun.
Yeah.
So I had not a lot of power to it. And I had Carhartt on. I had Carhartt pants, Carhartt sweatshirt. It's nice, good, thick stuff.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
And I told them, I'm like, hey, let's play Hunter. And they're like, what's Hunter? I go, I'm going to run out in the woods, and you guys try and shoot me. Because I'm thinking if you hit me with a BB in a Carhartt sweatshirt, Carhartt pants, it's not going to be a big deal. It's going to be perfectly fine. My buddy loaded 5 BBs into it.
Yeah.
And I think it's on videotape. I run out and I end up behind the tree and I start doing this thing. And then all of a sudden you see me running and they're following me here. And I go, oh! BB stuck in my cheek. Like I came back, I didn't realize it was still there. It's sitting right there.
Oh.
And I walk back and all of a sudden there's like this big trickle of blood coming down. And all my friends are like they thought they shot my eye out or something. And no, just a nice trickle of blood right there. And the BB was still stuck in the skin.
Nice. All right. Daniel Molina says, if you gain 20 more pounds, you could dress up as the dude from Breaking Bad. My question, is it Walter White or is it Jonathan Banks?
Oh. I think it'd probably be Jonathan
I think
Banks.
you would be, yeah, you'd be a more...
If I do this.
Yeah. You could totally be Jonathan Banks.
I could be Walter White. I've worn the flat hat and the goatee and everything. It looks like Walter White.
You could.
And I actually have been pretty significantly heavier than this. When I trained, I once trained for the steak challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 72-ounce steak that you got to eat. I actually trained for that, and I slapped on like 30 pounds. And it was all like right here, like right here, and like right down here.
Good enough.
Big.
Good to know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Least, biggest pet peeve during the morning show.
Pet peeve during the I got a lot of them. Biggest pet peeve: simple tasks not being done simply because people aren't paying attention. Like that's a major pet peeve. It's one of the biggest reasons it sets me off is because it's the smallest of tasks that can derail the show that nobody pays attention.
Nobody picks up the low-hanging fruit.
Yep.
Would you ever go Sasquatching?
Isn't that where you just go out like?
I have no idea what that is.
I think it's when you just go out and look for Sasquatch. Maybe you go camping. I don't know if I would. If somebody's offering, sure. I had a buddy who was on a Sasquatching show, actually.
Really?
It was hosted by Dean Cain, and I think it was on Spike.
I remember that show.
And it was him and his wife, and they were the first ones booted.
That's awesome. Brandon, when did your hairline start receding?
That's
from Gucci Goobop.
It's a little bit thinner here, and then if you like in the back, you can kind of see I'm getting that thing too a little bit. Like if the hair grows, you can see it's a little bit thinner right there.
Yeah.
But up front, it started to where like it was going pretty early on, and I always related it more to the fact that I smacked my head a lot.
Okay.
But I don't know, like. I would probably say mid-20s is when it started to thin. Like I have no idea what it would look like if I actually grew it out because I haven't grown it out in ages.
You mean like smack your head a lot, like against a wall, or like hit yourself in the head?
Me and my buddies thought that headbutting each other was a brilliant thing to do when we were drunk.
Wow.
With no helmets.
Well done. Well done. Since you are from, you're not from Florida, but you've been.
I lived there, yeah.
Have you ever visited Bimini Bay Bar?
I have not. I'm not sure where that is. Type it in into the chat and let me know where it's at. Because I lived in like Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. Only made it down to the Keys a few times. Went to Orlando frequently. And I think I made it to Tampa maybe once.
How'd you get the idea of being a radio show producer?
Kevin Vargas offered me the job. I got into radio. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then when I got into radio, I wanted to actually be a program director, the guy who programs the station, like what Kevin does for the station. But it is, that job's a pain in the ass. You got to deal with so much stuff. There's no way I would ever do that.
You got to be a very special person.
I was a midday guy in my first job. I was a production director in my second job. Eventually became like the night guy too. That was down in Florida. I actually replaced Tony down there.
Oh, really?
Budget
Tony
cuts.
Gonzalez?
Yeah, budget cuts. She was always the best one on the station. I mean, on the air, she's 1,000 times better than I am. But budget cuts just meant that she, she got moved to weekends, and then it was, when after I got laid off there, and when all of a sudden it was like, hey, who knows?
Cool.
So yeah, it was Kevin offering me the job of producer, which was, I don't know, about a year ago or so.
Do you ever think you'd go back to just doing your own show? Or you like the producer role?
I don't know. I kind of like this. As much as I piss and moan and complain,
yeah,
I do really enjoy this job.
Nice. All right, so we got 3 questions left, and we'll cut it off after this so we can wrap it up. What can you cook that's your favorite food? Like a Brandon special grilled cheese?
Oh, Bang Bang Chicken. It just takes forever.
Really?
So the Nintendo DS has these little it's a cartridge like a game, but when you put it in, it actually has recipes, and I found one in there that was for Bang Bang Chicken, and it is fantastic.
What is it?
It just takes a long time. It's just like a ginger kind of chicken.
Sweet. If a local restaurant gave you the full rights to create a burger, what would be on it, and what would you name it?
I don't know what I would name it, but I love burgers with like ham and egg. One of the best burgers was when I think it was Carl's Jr. used to have the pastrami burger. It was just a big thick patty with like a bunch of pastrami on it. Oh, it was fucking good. So like ham, egg, pastrami, lettuce. Yeah, no, that's about it.
Cool.
Ooh, and horseradish.
Oh, a little horseradish on there. Very good. Daniel says Bimini Bay Bar in the Fort Lauderdale area. Should look it up. Porn stars hired for barmaids, porn on the TVs, etc. I don't know if Daniel's doing their marketing for them now.
Nope, never been there.
When you get a passport, would you go to an FC Juarez game?
I would, actually. I love going to soccer games. Like that's one of I try to plan my trips. If I go back home to Portland, I try to plan it around. If it's wintertime, I like to go to a Blazers game. Yeah. If it's summertime or anytime within the season, I like to go to a Timbers game because the atmosphere is amazing. And I enjoy watching both sports. So yeah, I definitely do that.
Very cool.
You don't have riots there though, I hope, right? I haven't heard of any.
I don't know. Soccer hooligans in Juarez?
Yeah, they're not as bad as Europe.
That side's comment, it sounds like the radio business isn't the most stable of careers.
It's not. There's a reason that at 35 years of age last year, I was living with my mom. And it was for all the reasons that I brought up on the air. It was I got laid off. I was working part-time. My mom needed help around the house because my parents had just gotten divorced and her knees are completely shot. I was all like, there's other factors involving my house and having to sell it, and also being kind of picky when it came to job, like outside of Portland. I was limited with what I was doing in Portland, but living outside of Portland would have been difficult for a few different reasons.
Radio is also like getting a PhD. There's more people than there are jobs. So if you really want to get in a really good place, you're going to have to go back to the bottom and work your way up a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot.
Well, and you need to, if you like, I had a buddy explain it to me perfectly, because when I first moved back to Portland, I wanted out. I didn't want to be in radio at all. I was done. I had a bad experience in Florida. I wanted out. I enrolled back in college to go get my computer science degree.
Nice.
But it came to the point where radio was the only job I could get.
Yes.
I couldn't get a job anywhere else. I applied at retail stores. I applied everywhere else. No place would hire me. So that's how, I mean, you just, once you're in radio, you kind of get, you're sucked in, you're good.
You kind of think like, oh, I'm in radio, like my resume, you know, I can talk to people, I can do things. There's lots of other jobs I can do, and employers don't see it that way.
Nope. You know how many times I heard you're overqualified for this job? I mean, so, like I was applying at like Columbia Sportswear for like retail jobs, like stock jobs, like things that aren't, you know, difficult.
But I can work hard.
No, I wanted out and I couldn't, you know. What was that? Was it Al Pacino? They keep sucking me back in.
That's right. I thought I was out. Once I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah, so.
All right, children, that's enough for today's After Buzz. I'm Scott Lewis, a.k.a. Little Buzz, and thanks for Brandon for tuning in with us. We'll be back.
I'm going to continue to do it every week because I enjoy doing it. I don't know about everybody else. Joanna and Emily, it's more difficult for them because they're paid hourly and they're very limited on hours. So for them to do this, they're really doing it for free. Buzz is working right now, and I have no idea where Fernie is.
We'll see. We'll let you know as we know what's going to happen from week to week.
And I figure I want to do it once a week, about 20 to 30 minutes. And then like we did this week, if you get the questions in early, that kind of helps us get through stuff.
That's right.
A little bit quicker. But
email them in. Where should they email them?
Brandon@buzzadamshow.com.
All right, children. We'll be back next week.